Picture this for a minute. You've been away for some time, traveling through a foreign country. You just arrived at this home, your home. But how could it be? You have no memories of this place. Yet, it feels so familiar. While exploring the house, you find that you are all alone. The silence is only disrupted by your own footsteps, your thoughts, and by the storm outside. You find notes, books, audio tapes, and they allow you to understand the lives of those that live here, your own. But you've never been here before. Yet, you feel nostalgia for something in this house. A nostalgia for something that you never experienced. It feels so fresh and new, yet so distant and faded. Nostalgia for a time that you never lived. You feel Anemoia, and this is your home in Gone Home. The Dictionary of Obscure Sorrows classifies Anemoia as nostalgia for a time you'll never know. The feeling that there's something missing, something that can't be found in this day and age. You might be home, but you don't feel it has always been like this. You miss what you never lived, experiences never felt, memories lost to the nothing, emptiness from the inside, floating in between a day that didn't happen and will never happen again. Anemoia is not the same thing as feeling that you don't belong to this time, feeling that you wish you were born in a long-lost era. No, Anemoia is feeling that you miss the days that never came for you, a moment in time that you never knew, but you miss it so much, to the point of feeling sadness and anxiety. Till this day, I consider the 2000s to be the last iconic decade of the century. But I'm biased. Why? Because the 2000s was when my childhood and adolescence took place. The decade that actually represents what I remember and what I experienced in first hand. Yet the mid to late 90s hold a strong significance to me. The American 90s to be very specific. I can't really explain why, but the mid to late 90s and early 2000s hold so much nostalgia for me. A time when things were simpler. Funny how life works, isn't it? When young, we desired to grow up already, to move from our parents' home, to distance ourselves from the past that made us. Then when we reach this goal and regret takes place, how did I get here so fast? Your past self starts to become alien, distant, like it's a strange that passes you by every day down the road, someone you don't recognize anymore, and then you wonder why instead of how. Darling, looking at a teenager's room from the 90s, analyzing its aesthetics makes me feel at home. It's like I actually lived, played, studied, and slept in a place like that. It's an impossible feeling of familiarity, because I never truly lived in this age. I never had a Super Nintendo of my own, my brother did. I never had a room full of posters like that. I miss these days. I wish they happened, but they never did. Gone Home released in 2013, when the walking simulator craze was still booming. And that's the perfect way to describe what this game is, a walking simulator of a 90s family home. Set in 1995, you play as Katie, the older sibling of two, and you just arrived at your home after traveling through Europe. That's where the game starts. The first challenge tells you everything of how the game is going to work for the next 2 or so hours. The gameplay consists of a world that's completely interactive. Everything can be moved, held, opened, closed. If you can see, chances are you can interact with. Since the gameplay is so simple and straightforward, what makes it so special is the narrative. Notes and tapes are the main way of storytelling here.
Hi Mom, so I got my ticket home from Europe. I get back on June 6th, but it's a really late flight because that was the cheapest, so it gets in at midnight.
The house is used brilliantly to convey the narrative and to tell a cohesive story, slowly revealing the events that occurred. I love how every single character in this game have their own subplots. Even if you don't see or hear them, you know who they are, their personalities, their ambitions, their fears. Everyone feels so alive. The parents are intriguing characters with their own subplots of going through a difficult time in their relationship and not understanding how to handle this new generation of teenagers. The lead characters of the story are the younger sibling Sam and her new friend Lonnie.
Well, there's this girl. I think she's a senior. She's usually dressed kind of punk. But sometimes I see her in this, army uniform. And she's always drawing in this notebook, looking so intense. I had no idea how I would ever, have an excuse to talk to her. Till I noticed she and her friends hang out and play Street Fighter at the 7-Eleven every day after school.
Sam saw Lonnie for the first time at her new school. They became good friends from the get-go when she first introduced herself to Lonnie at the local arcade. And after they went to a rock show together, their feelings for one another began to transform into something else. They were falling in love.
After a minute, she put her arm around me and was so close and whispered in my ear, "I really like you."
They couldn't be more different. Sam was the quiet and shy girl, while Lonnie had a strong personality, a punk girl with an attitude. The couple couldn't be more perfect, to be honest. But that was not the world. Lonnie had a distant relationship with her mother and her new husband, who she both disliked and never got along with. Since the age of 12, Lonnie dreamed about joining the JROTC, the Junior Reserve Officers Training Corps, and she have been training for that. Since Sam was the younger sibling, she was overprotected by her parents. And when she told them about her relationship with Lonnie, they kept denying by saying things like, "It's just a phase." But it wasn't. They didn't belong in that world. He didn't want them. The time for Lonnie to join the JROTC came faster than they could tell. Time flies when we're having fun. When they realized that they would probably never see each other again, sadness took over, but they decided to enjoy it to the fullest while they could. The day finally came, and Lonnie was gone, leaving Sam alone in the attic, with only their memories to comfort her. In the morning, the phone rang, and again. Sam was asleep in the attic. She didn't hear it, but she noticed that 2 messages were left. For her. It was Lonnie.
She'd been on the bus to basic, and she said she couldn't think of anything but me and us, and that she couldn't go through with it, with the army and being a part and all of it.
Lonnie has given up on her dream to join the army, to join a new life with Sam. She was waiting for her, and Sam left this world to meet her, to drive until the right place for them is found. They chose to live a world that didn't want them, that didn't accept them, and so they said goodbye to it all to start over on their own. Gone Home is not about the time period. It's not about the 90s. It's about the people and their own little world. It's a game about life, about growing up, about forgiving your past to live the today, about failing to understand the new. It's about accepting the changes that come with your own evolution, to discover yourself once again. Maybe we should be more like Sam and Lonnie, to pursue what makes us happy. A new beginning, a new world, in a new tomorrow. Thank you for watching.